Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
What is up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated always to the best damn club out there, Juventus, baby. All right, and I got Joey Cappuccino with me today, and of course our boy Trim. Fellas, how you doing? Joe, what's up, my man?
I'm doing great. My back's not doing so great, but I'm doing great otherwise.
Oh,
Getting old
buddy.
now, I'm getting old.
You don't want to tell an old guy like me about back problems. Come on, man. Come on. Get that sorted out. Trim, how you doing, man? Oh, you're muted. I think you're muted, brother.
Oh, sorry about that. There we go. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Slow news day seems like this morning, but looks like we got some stuff to talk about, so it should be good.
It could be slow this morning, which is fine because almost every other day leading up to it hasn't been slow. So we got a ton to talk about, a ton to cover, and we got a new hashtag out here from our boy RB Comps, and that's pray for Joe's back. So let's pray for Joe's back, everybody, okay? Too young for back problems. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to take a second, say what's up to everybody in the chat and give people a chance to roll in here and get set up before we dive into really a list of topics, all right? But we got Adam Can with us saying, ciao, what's up, my man? What is up? Calcio, Reno, buongiorno, good morning, my fellow paisans. What's going on? Matteo Camisa here. What's happening, my beautiful people? Well, we're ready to rock. Tech's card on FIFA looking nice. We got news on Tech, and we'll see what's going to end up happening here for him, okay? And what's the time in Canada? Well, for me, it's just about 6 a.m., all right? And about 9 a.m. for these fellas. So a little bit later than our usual start time, too, and that is actually on me, everybody, okay? But we're going to have some fun today and get into it, okay? And we got Jeff with an X here. On a cruise right now, drunk. Hope you guys have a great live. Oh, yeah, we'll have a great live, and I know you're going to have a great time. Enjoy yourself, okay? Never been on a
Cheers,
cruise.
Jeff.
Always wanted to, though. Always wanted to go on a cruise, but haven't been on one. Have you guys been on a cruise yet? Joe?
I don't think you want me on a boat for that, that amount of time, like with free access to alcohol. You definitely don't want that. So no, the longest I've ever been on a boat is like overnight. So no, I've never been on an actual cruise.
Oh, man. Trim, ever been on a cruise?
No, but I was gonna say that's still pretty long. Being on one for overnight, it's not. I've only been just from Calabria to Sicily and on the ferry. That's about it. That's the longest I've
Oh
been.
man, so every summer, I was just talking about this with some friends yesterday. Every summer we would jump on a houseboat twice a year and we'd be there for a full weekend. And it would be amazing. But you get to obviously put her down and beach it at night, and then there was big beach parties and stuff. So you're not like literally on the boat and that's it for whatever, right? 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. But I've always wanted to go on a cruise. And now I think they do cruises that are actually built around like bands. And like you'll see like live bands playing shows, like, and they book like almost concerts that are cruises as well. It's pretty phenomenal stuff, but we'll see what happens. But I appreciate the tip here though. If you ever do go on a cruise, buy the damn drink package. It's worth it. So there you go. There you go. Okay, everybody, reminder. Like the video, okay? And ways to support, obviously, there's the super chat that's enabled. There's our merch store. We got new designs coming out very soon, and there are some new designs in there right now. And then, of course, simply sharing the content, all right? And we appreciate it all. If you feel inclined to at any point during this live, we'd appreciate you smashing that subscribe button too and sticking with us and join the AJC Army, because this mercato could be very interesting. We're going to kick things off first with not something mercato related, but kind of, because Milik suffered an injury yesterday and it looked like a hyperextension to his knee. There was concerns about ACL or something going down. Turns out he's avoided anything serious. 4 to 6 weeks recovery time, all right? Milik, standalone, for him and the rumors and everything. We've been hearing mixed reports. Obviously, his own words were he wants to remain. He doesn't want to go anywhere. But Juve would be shopping both of them because, like, the whole thing with Xerxes, I guess, that they put out here yesterday was that unless Keane and Milik both move, that would never actually happen. I almost don't think it would happen even with Vlahovic around currently. That's just my personal belief. It wouldn't make sense to have a battle with a guy that's going to be on 12 million euro and add Xerxes, who's going to be looking for a pay hike as well. But Milik, for me, I'm actually fine keeping him around, moving Moise Kean. Like, I'm okay with Milik staying another year. Are you fellas all right with Milik sticking around for another season?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think that he certainly wasn't much of a liability aside from that one infamous red card this past season. But yeah, I mean, he's still serviceable. He's kind of like that. He's a good backup. I have zero complaints with him, and it's that kind of sucks that he's going to miss the Euros now because he missed the Euros in 2021 for the same exact reason. So it's like, man never gets to play the Euros. Damn. Poor Miller.
It's the way she goes sometimes. It's almost like Nesta's national career. Just never gets to play in the actual tournament. Phenomenal defender. One of the best ever, but could never make through a major tournament or in a major tournament. But Trim, your thoughts on Milik?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo the same sentiments as Joe. Like, I wouldn't mind if he stays as a backup bench player for Vlahovic. We know what we have with him, but at the same time, it just depends on really how the mercato shapes up and who the targets are that we can actually acquire and who's going out the door. So, I mean, yeah, for me, I think they're going to have a harder time actually moving Keane. I think they could actually sell Milik before they move Keane. So this is kind of the wild card and the X factor. But who knows? We'll see. I know that there's some lower level Serie A teams that are interested in Keane. I've heard rumblings about some smaller clubs in France. So like, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping Milik. Obviously, getting one new upgrade on the two of them would be nice, but we'll just have to wait and see kind of how he progresses from the injury and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, we got Matt saying Keane has got to go, though. I would have to say, I mean, when all of us here today have more goal contributions than one of our players last season, that is a serious issue, okay? And yeah, he was hard done by on a couple goals getting called back, but still, regardless, at the end of the day, it's as many goals as we put down last season for Juventus, and that's not going to fly. Skanga popping bottles when he hears the name there of Morata. Yeah, hey, Morata splitting opinions and everything. We're not going to really dive too much into Morata because I don't believe it happening. Too much would have to happen. Salary would have to drop significantly, essentially. But we're going to keep things rolling in the attack, though, because we've got ourselves a little bit of a saga around our boy Fede Chiesa, all right? So, meetings in Rome. Okay. Obviously, De Rossi's hot. Everything that we're getting is that he's like looking at adding him at all costs, wants to bring him in. I don't see it making any sense. And I've said this for quite some time in terms of the finances. I can't see Roma giving him what we can't contractually. Maybe they can meet the same money he's on now. If that is in fact the case, then why even bother? So I've got my own personal theory. I want to get your theories on kind of how you see this playing out, how you feel about it currently, even with Chiesa's point of view. I just think there's a game being played there, obviously, as an agent, as a player, but I just don't think they understand that there's no leverage there. And I don't think Giuntoli gives a fuck, to be quite honest, if he wants to go to one of those sides. Like, I don't think he cares if they keep him or sell him. I really don't. And everything we're hearing from Motta is that he's okay with it too. But I got to get you guys to weigh in on this Chiesa thing with what you actually personally feel could be going on there. And let's start this one off with Trim.
So for Chiesa, I don't know. I like, as you can see with the fan base, we're kind of all split. You can see sides that are wanting him to stay. You can see sides that are wanting him to leave. For me personally, I kind of feel like his hands are tied and his agent's hands are tied. He can't really do much in terms of get offers because there hasn't been any concrete offers. No team has ever made one for him. So he can try to meet with different sporting directors and try to drum up some interest and see. But until we actually get a concrete offer, I'm pretty much of the belief that he's sticking around. The only thing is, like, obviously, I think he ends up signing the 1-year extension, but I can see him kind of trying to push back to see if he can play out the year with 1 year left. But I know the team's not going to allow that, which is the smart move. Like, extend him 1 year and then see what happens. But literally, for me, that's his best option. Like, sign an extension 1 year, go out there and prove you're the player that you think you are and that we know you can all be, and then we'll talk about an extension or even a potential move next year if he really doesn't want to stick around. But for me, his hands are kind of tied. Like, he doesn't have, like you said, he doesn't have any of the leverage, and I feel like Juventus is just going to sit back and wait and say, okay, when you're ready to talk, come to me and we'll go from there. The extension's on the table, and take it or leave it.
I'm going to ship this to Joe with starting off by a different question right out of the gate, and that's what's going on in the poll question now. Is it fair of Juventus to offer him a 1-year renewal on the same money? Is that a fair offer?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see what exactly Chiesa has done to warrant a pay increase. I mean, besides we're still running on the story that he is this incredible player and, you know, he has all of this potential, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What exactly has he done to warrant a pay increase to like that of Dusan? I haven't seen it. I love Chiesa. I think that he's great. This is starting to get into like Dybala-ish territory. Like, I'm getting flashbacks. I'm seeing, you know, I feel like I'm back in the trenches, you know, with the Dybala saga again. So it's like, I see this happening one of two ways. Either something like what Trim said happens. He signs that 1 year, you know, everything's hunky-dory. Juntuli basically is like, hey, this is the deal. Like, this is it. Like, this is what we can offer you right now. This is a do or die season for you again, and blah, blah, blah. We can see how that plays out. Or we sell him this summer. Like, there really isn't like a middle ground there, I think. And in the back of my mind, the thing that always seems to be coming back is that the thought that we need to sell at least one of our bigger players. Like, Dusan's not going anywhere. Apparently Bremer's not going anywhere. So who does that leave? Pretty much Chiesa.
Yeah.
And I feel like if his agent keeps playing this game, then I feel like that's probably how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
That we will sell Chiesa
It's
for some kind of money.
It's extremely reminiscent of what happened with Dybala. It really, really is. It has all the same feels around it. I put out my theory on one of the daily update videos about this whole saga already, and it's just that, number one, I don't see the leverage. Okay, it's very similar to Dybala because none of these big clubs came around. And when you're looking at the alternatives, do they make sense from a player perspective for him to leave us to go to those teams? Right now, I'd say no. I'd say flat out no. Unless he is intrigued by going to a team and taking himself out of Champions League, and Club World Cup, etc. and whatnot. And then at that point, I'm really questioning his ambition as a player. And if that's the case, then you know what? That makes things very, very easy, and just get the move done and sell. And the question came up from Faraz here, and it said, do you guys care if we sell? This is coming back to the same thing for me I've said all along this mercato with anybody. If somebody leaves Juventus, I need the replacement to definitely be an upgrade. And that's where, for me, it starts to become a little bit of an issue for Juventus, because he is a dangerous player. When he's on, he is very, very impressive. But the thing is, we had a season where 2.5 months, he was invisible and he ghosted. So again, his overall thing, he had a start that was red hot, and then he had a month that he missed again due to injuries, issues, and then he had 2.5 months of just invisible play and frustrations, visible frustration, all this, and then he finished off hot right before Euros. So it's there's not much to go on there, but that's not a season where, okay, yeah, I'm asking for more money. I don't think so. Definitely not when you look at the list statistically of guys that have outproduced you and they're scrubs. What I think is happening, and I don't know, we're going to get to see if you guys agree with me or not, because right now, as far as Juve goes and making a fair offer, 93% of you in the chat right now currently all agree that is more than fair for a 1-year renewal at same money for Fede. My theory is there is issues with Chiesa in terms of his own confidence in backing himself. When have you seen a player set to go that could potentially be leaving the club want to get something done before a major tournament like the Euros? If this guy really wanted to leave Juventus, okay, and he had full confidence in himself with no doubt, he wouldn't be scrambling, having meetings before the Euros and all this. He would be, okay, I'm fine. I'm going to play the Euros. I'm going to get myself that bag that I want. But the fact is, for me, he is concerned. He is concerned that the performances won't be there. He's maybe a little concerned about injuries as well, because if he gets hurt, he's screwed. Definitely has no leg to stand on, and it might be literally, if that happens in terms of negotiating this money that he wants. So for me, I still think Juve is in the driver's seat here, and I think it would be very poor from his agent to not accept a 1-year renewal and then move from there. I understand they're trying to get longer terms, but he has to realize if you're getting longer terms, it ain't going to be at Juve. But the other kicker here is Giuntoli has not been around long enough to build up the rapport, and there may be a trust factor there. Because if Chiesa goes in and locks in with a 1-year renewal, he could very well be moved next year and not get his money, not get a long term at Juventus, and he might still be looking for a team, and he might not have one of these options that he might feel intrigued by this summer. But I think he's scrambling. Do you guys agree or not? Do you think he's scrambling a bit? Do you think maybe there's concerns there? That's how I personally feel looking at it from the outside in with no behind the scenes knowledge. Do you guys think he's scrambling? Trim.
I do. I do. But what's funny is I'm just reading some of the comments, and Haneen and Shatterstar are mentioning that what's stopping him from just going right to 2025 and just not signing that extension and leaving on a free. And that's a good point, and it's a fair point. It's true. But the thing is, We're just simply stating that Chiesa has shown so far that he's comfortable, and he's not saying that he's going to do that. Now, what happens behind closed doors, we don't know. Obviously, he could still turn around and just change his mind one day, wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? Screw the team. I'm going to play out my contract and leave. But obviously, if Juve gets that sense or that word from him, he's gone. That's the kicker. So it doesn't matter what he thinks or what he ultimately decides in the end, because Juve still has him on 1 year. So if he decides and he says, you know what, I'm not signing the extension, Giuntoli is smart enough to sniff that out and say, okay, best offer, whatever comes in, he's gone.
Yeah.
But again, my whole thing was, where is the offer for him? They can name Roma, they can name Napoli, throw Liverpool for, shits and giggles, pardon the pun, whatever, in there, right? But like, there is no concrete offer. So he's not going anywhere if nobody's offering anything.
Him walking on a free is still not really leverage, man. Like, sure, Juve wants to get a sale, but you know what? It still comes down to him signing the renewal. That's my point. Like, so Shatterstar, I get it. But the thing is, it's either he renews or we're shopping him. And if he does not accept, that's where it gets ugly. That's where it gets ugly, and then could potentially affect him in that playing season and everything, because, again, it's not always a one-way street. And if you're not willing to renew with the club, and then they shop you and say, that's fine, you don't have to renew with us, but we're going to move you, and then you reject to leave on a free, how do you think that season is going to play out? How do you think that season's going to play out? And as a man, as a player, again, going to ambition, I can't see him wanting to stick around when they're saying, okay, no, we're just going to shop you. We're going to flat out shop you. And then you want to turn those moves down. I don't think that's a play any player wants to take, because that season, if you hung around after that, yeah, it wouldn't be going too pretty. And Giuntoli has shown signs of being able to get his hands dirty and get a little ruthless. And we could have that exact situation, as, again, this is all just speculation from us from the outside looking in, because we don't know. We're not involved here. But this could happen with Wojciech Szczesny. This could literally be happening with Wojciech Szczesny right now. Yesterday we get the news. Di Marzio went wild one day. He was contradicting himself by the hour, saying Perin's going. No, Tech's going. Perin. Okay, man, chill out. Yesterday we get the news. Perin apparently has done a U-turn. And all of a sudden, okay, he is up for renewal. And we are looking at Di Gregorio, Perin okay to remain, and whatnot. So a little bit of a U-turn there. Skira says the renewal talks are going to take place. He has opened himself up to it, and he is in. Szczesny now, who has been very consistent about stating he wants to remain at Juventus and just finish the contract out, whatever. Didn't have interest in outside offers, but now all of a sudden, for the past week we've been hearing, he's opening himself up to hearing those offers. Could we find ourselves in a scenario? There's no doubt about it. He rejected the contract renewals. And what did I just say with Fede? As far as leverage, and if you're going to say that he could walk away on a free, and I say things will get ugly, we might be seeing that with Tech, because he rejected those contract renewals to try and bring down the wages. The wages are an issue. We could find ourselves in an ugly situation where Szczesny now is getting pushed out by Juventus, and the optics could get very ugly. We were starting to talk about that in the AJC Army members chat yesterday, but we could be staring down the barrel of an ugly situation for Szczesny. And do you see that happening, Joe? Do you see Giuntoli essentially pushing this guy out and Juve pushing this guy out?
I mean, if push comes to shove, yeah, I can definitely see that happening. As unfortunate as it might be, we all know Di Gregorio is coming, so it's like, yeah, this is gonna. I would never have thought that this would have happened to a goalkeeping section of the team. Like this, it just doesn't. It strikes me as very odd. But we keep hearing reports of Saudi Arabia coming in with offers for Szczesny, and like Al said, constant rejections on Szczesny's part for a renewal at lower wages. This could get really ugly, and if he doesn't want that renewal, I just don't see how anything can progress with Szczesny still being on the team. And on top of that, like you said, Al, Perin doing a complete 180 and being like, "No, I'm okay. I'll stay." I'm just having a difficult time wrapping my head around it, because it's just like, so okay, who would we line up with theoretically? Would it be Di Gregorio, Perin, and Pinsoglio, like as our goalkeepers? Or let's say Tech agrees, and like, then do we force Perin out? Like, what's going to happen here? So it's all incredibly complicated. But
Yeah.
Perin's little, switcheroo here makes things that more complicated.
And I don't see it as being complicated. I see it as, hey man, we wanted to bring that salary down. You haven't done it. And again, it's a scenario where if you stay around, you're probably not playing. And that's what I'm talking about with Chiesa. So while George and Shatterstar battle it out here and duke it out in the live chat, I'm just going to say, like, it's not zero leverage that Fede Chiesa has. He has a little bit of leverage. But again, if you have a manager, okay, a sporting director and a coach, okay, a manager that are on the same page, that are okay with you leaving essentially, and you refuse to take a move and you're going to go down and walk that path that you're leaving on a free, if you're going to do that, guess what? Right now, you're showing little leverage because the teams that want you aren't going to pay you the same money that you could get right now. They're not going to have that open up unless they maneuver a lot. So it's not really leverage. If you want to walk on a free, how do you think that season's going to play out if a manager and a sporting director both are okay seeing you out and then you freeze it and you stay? Do you think that's going to be a season that they could showcase Chiesa, or they would showcase him? Probably not. No. Probably not. And then, is that going to be the best for him? If you're his representation, I'm looking at that like we cannot put ourselves through that. Juntally, I think he can get very ruthless if need be. And I think Motta and him are going to be on the same page the entire way. I just don't see it. I don't see with Chiesa having us by the balls in this scenario. And if you're already going to meetings with other clubs, I'm not worried about you sticking around and leaving on a free. You can go and do that now. This is your offer. Take it or leave it. So if he does in fact want to continue, next week when he also has a meeting with Juntali, he's going to reiterate that same offer, which we've all decided is fair. This is on Chiesa. Take it or leave it, bro.
Yeah, well, and one thing I just wanted to quickly kind of touch on as well with that is, we're not stating that if he was to leave on a free, that teams wouldn't be lining up, because I know that was another thing that was kind of mentioned in the kind of back and forth. So we're not delusional. We understand that Chiesa would have plenty of suitors if he was to walk on a free. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just simply the situation at hand, or the current situation right now, that we just really feel that Juve has, if it's not 100% to 0% leverage, it's 95-5. Because again, Chiesa's showing all of his cards. Yeah. As the club, all they have to do is just sit back and kind of let him dictate everything if he's not willing to work with the club, because that's the other side of it. It's like, we're not asking for much. We want to help him help himself. So why doesn't he just realize that and say, okay, take the deal and then work your ass off and prove you can stay healthy, you can go out and produce. It's only going to help his cause more, right?
Yeah, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to put it out here right now. And it's a simple yes or no. Do you, in the end, want Chiesa sold? Like, do you want him sold? Yes or no? Right now, Trim.
Okay. Right
You got
off the
this,
hop,
Trim.
my gut says no right off the hop because I want to give him at least one more season. But we do have an alternative waiting in the wings, which I don't know if we'll touch on after, but Sule for me would be the replacement because I was going through the list of potentials.
We're going to go through
And
alternatives.
Yeah.
But just like straight gut shot, shooting from the hip, like flat out, do you want him to be sold?
No.
Joe.
My heart says no, but my head's telling me yes. So I'll go with what my head's telling me. Can't make decisions with the heart. I would say yes.
Wow. Wow. I'm still a no. I'm still a no because the alternatives right now. We're going to get to the alternatives though, because there is one that I would be like, okay, that went down. I'd actually be okay with it. But ultimately, I'm fine with whatever the team decides in this scenario. I really am. But getting in Sule and bringing him into the equation, I don't see a situation where we lose both of these guys this window. Like, either Sule's getting a shot or he's getting moved. But to move both and give yourself that amount of work when we've heard a lot of underwhelming, targets.
Yeah.
Mason Greenwood rumors persist. That's a hefty price tag. I'm not in on that one. Salah Makers today. Salad maker.
Oh, my God.
10 million euros. I'm sorry. No. I don't care that he got 4 goals and 3 assists with Bologna and under Thiago Motta. And yes, he's a little bit versatile in terms of both sides. I'm not into that. No way. No way. Bakayoko? Okay, I'm listening. Bakayoko, I'm interested. I would say that would make me feel good about it. But I still think, and I stand firm on this, it's in both team and players' best interest for Chiesa to remain. Okay? The poll, 68% do not want Chiesa sold. And yeah, salad maker, no. Now, we get to the Koopmeiners thing too now. This one had, I put it out there and I laid it on the line in my video, boys, and everybody knows what I think. But Illing Jr. and Huijsen for Koopmeiners. Where do you guys stand on that one? Joe, I haven't even talked to you about this one yet, so I'm finding out right now, live, where you're at on this one, including those two for Koopmeiners.
I'm just like, why are we bending over backwards for this? Like, I don't like dealing with Atalanta like this. I really, really don't. Because they have a lot of leverage. He had a great season, and he won the Europa League. He is a really good player, but I can hear Omer in the back of my mind being like, Atalanta system player, and I'm like, he's got a good point. But that all being said, would he be a good midfield addition? Yes. Both of those players for him, if that's what we got to do to avoid a full cash payment, because we all know that Atalanta would be asking for a ridiculous amount of money for him, then why not? I mean, I don't see, since Bremer is going to be staying this season, I just don't see how much playing time Huijsen's going to get if he were to come back. And I love Illing Jr. I would love for him to stay. But the reality is, and we've said it on the show before, we really can't get so attached to a lot of these young players because they are used for this specific reason. Yeah. So, I mean, if it brings down that cash payment and that's what the club wants to do, I say do it. Like, go for it. I think that he would be a great midfield addition.
Yeah. Trim, same question, man. Huijsen and Illing for Coop.
So it's funny, I saw Alex P's comment there where he said straight swap, yes, and we don't tend to agree a lot of the times. We usually go back and forth in the chat there, but I agree 100% with that. It's, for me, it would be straight swap and nothing more. No added money on top. If they continue to try to negotiate for more money, I don't know. I would almost try to see if, like, okay, if you won't take the two of them straight swap for Koopmeiners, then I would say, okay, remove of the two, I'd rather keep Huijsen. So maybe pull Huijsen out and then just add money on top of Illing. Like, basically try to get a sense of, obviously Atalanta's interested in both players, but are they interested in one more than the other? Now, someone might say to me, well, they might be interested more in Huijsen because he's a defender, especially with now Scalvini's injury. That's the biggest X factor in this negotiation. But like Joe's saying, dealing with Atalanta is never easy. But I think that if both teams can come to an agreement, like 60 million tops is what his value should be. I'm trying to think of both young guys in terms of, even if we made the straight swap, Atalanta's got to look at it from this perspective. Even if both players do not reach their full potential and kind of fall off a cliff, what would their value be? I still see them around 20 million each, right? So there's your 40. It's not right at that 60 million that they're asking, but I mean, like, in terms of resale from their perspective down the road, like, these guys aren't going to fall off a cliff. They're both still young enough that, like, it's just, yeah, they're trying to maximize the most amount of value out of the deal for Coop, right? So I don't blame them, but for me, it's the straight swap is the obvious. And then if not, pull Huijsen out of it and just Illing and whatever, 30 to 40 million, whatever it's going to take to get it done, but get the deal done. Bring this guy in. I want that kit with his name on it next season.
The name's too long, man. It's too long. I don't know if I'll get it, but I'm stoked to get him out. But we'll talk about the kits and names, etc. But the poll question, where were you guys when I was getting absolutely roasted? I always laugh about it. On the different platforms, it's completely different. I got a lot of, it felt maybe 65, 70, 30 on YouTube for being with me in terms of, yes, Huijsen and Illing for Coop when I did the video. On TikTok, I absolutely got roasted for my opinion. Everybody on TikTok says no to moving those guys for Koopmeiners. So I got lambasted there. I could have used all of you here because 86% say yes right now on this poll question in our chat right now. All right. And I'm going to remind you all, we got close to 80 of you right now. Smash that like button, okay? Helps us out. Let's go. Show some love. Now,
let's go.
For me, this is where it's at. It's really a no-brainer for me. And we're talking about values of these guys. This is the kicker for me, and this is the X factor. While Trim says that the X factor, which I agree would be Scalvini's health, I think the X factor actually is whether or not Juventus land Calafiori. I think that is a big, big X factor because for me, Calafiori is ahead of Huijsen. And with a guy like Facundo Gonzalez already in the ranks, that gives me the freedom to say bye-bye to Huijsen, a player that I have always felt isn't going to be with us long-term, okay? Yeah. I'm not getting those vibes from Dean Huijsen. He seems weird to me, even with the whole national thing and ending up like a Spanish national player, etc. Like, just weird vibes from Huijsen. I'm fine moving him, and I value him at 30 mil. I'd say 30 mil. 20 mil for Illing Jr. puts us around 50. I've always said fair value on Koopmeiners for me is 60. If we have to add an additional 10, I'm okay with that because you've moved guys, okay? Illing Jr., I'm fine moving him just period. I think, yeah, he's got potential there. I feel like I thought his potential was a lot higher until what I started to see from him in some showings. But yeah, good player. I don't think it's going to be what many expect from him or whatnot, okay? So I'm fine moving him. Huijsen, like I said, bring me Calafiori and I won't lose a wink of sleep, okay? Yeah. That's the kicker for me. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm still leaning towards yes because right now, for me, Koopmeiners is the best realistic target we've had in the midfield. Realistic target in the midfield. And Juve needs to land their guys. Like, this is an important one for Juve, for Giuntoli, this new chapter and everything. It's important for us to land the guys we want. And if those 3 guys are who we want, Di Gregorio, Calafiori, Koopmeiners, you land those guys and you start making a statement that, hey, we're through the cleanup and we're starting to make our moves now. Okay? And for me, it's a no-brainer. You bring him in. The flexibility he brings too, and the fact that he could play anywhere in the midfield, the variations that you gain possible, even with the guys like Locatelli, Fagioli, Koopmeiners, etc. If Rabiot renews, and now we get to the renewal, because Rabiot's renewal, I will accept if it means, and we always knew we were going to use free agency, okay? So he's going to have the growth decree, which will help him as well. I'm okay with it if it means making things easier for Koopmeiners to bring in Coop, and if we swap those 2 youngsters, even if we had to pay a little bit like 10 mil, and that opens up money to add one of Luis, one of Samardzic, one of Thuram, I am okay with the renewal if that's what we see going down. Now, Thuram's kind of seen as this alternative to Rabiot, but Samardzic, this was one of the storm the barns from George saying, I haven't heard, like, what's going on with Samardzic. Feels like we haven't heard news. We haven't, because he's still very much there. Mirko said it, Romeo has said it. He's still very much in Juve's eyes and whatnot, but right now, we could see it. It's all about the main guys right now. They want to lock in their main targets and work outwards. Samardzic is one of the names on the outside. Okay? I would still very much like to see him. So, again, if we're talking about the midfield starting to shape up as Rabiot, Fagioli, Locatelli, Koopmeiners, and potentially one of Samardzic, Thuram, or Luis, hopefully Luis, yeah, I'm down with that. I am down with that, and I will accept that renewal. God damn it, I hate that salary for him, but whatever. They're saving with growth decree. It is what it is with the Rabiot thing. We should be hearing this week what's going to happen, but I'm telling you, if that's the way the midfield shapes up, I don't think you could tell me that that is not a vast improvement on this past season's midfield.
Oh, absolutely. 100% improvement there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, is making improvements. So I'm all for that. As far as Luis, where it stands there, yeah, sure. We're trying to hear breaking news that Villa has opened up to the swap and whatnot. Well, yeah, they've opened up to it with a 30 million difference between Luis and McKennie. So again, work to be done there, but that is why it is so important that we have guys like Huijsen, like Illing Jr., that you could throw in on the Coop deal. If what Mirko Di Natale reports could actually happen, okay? If that could actually happen, that you swap those 2 straight across, God damn it, we're cooking. Because we haven't touched our budget. That means that Luis or Calafiori gets brought in with what we actually have for a budget. And then you still have room to maneuver for the next. So a couple of key things right now. But Rabiot's renewal will, in fact, be critical for Juventus because we have to use free agency. And I get where the majority of the fan base stands, but really, I'm not going to judge that as a one-off move because it's going to depend on those pieces. But we can all agree, if that's how it shapes up, boys, that would be a way better midfield.
Dude, like,
can't argue
like that. That's an A+ mercato for me right there.
And then you have Sule.
Yeah.
Does he stay?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, that's
he
the
might
thing.
still be moved.
That's the thing. It's like it's either I don't see what exactly happens if if Chiesa is gone and he doesn't sign that renewal or whatever, and there's a buyer, that's prime Sule, spot right there. So it's like there's a lot of moving parts to this. There's so many moving parts to this.
And Mark's saying, I feel like we are getting too excited. I just don't think we will see more than one or two of these targets coming in. Those three targets we've talked about, Di Gregorio, Koopmeiners, and Calafiori, I actually do believe all three come in.
I think they do. I think
it's pretty much as close to a lock, 100%, as it could be. Like, I know we've been getting murmurs and whispers now about Calafiori and Bologna making it difficult, but if Juve want their guy, they're going to get it done. Giuntoli seems like, he doesn't mess around with business. He'll get it done.
And I've been calling it the whole time. Even with the Rabiot renewal, two midfielders will come. It won't be Rabiot and like a Koopmeiners and that's it. There will be another midfielder. That's the beauty of this free agency. And again, if you're looking at those names that disappeared, there was definitely names ahead of Rabiot easily. But this is where, Swarit, I got to talk to you about this one. Living in strange time when Rabiot is indispensable and not Fede Chiesa. They are not. So this is where, straight up, if you're looking at the face and you're saying we're renewing him at 7.5, we're offering Chiesa the same 5.5, whatever, for one more year renewal. But it's not. It's not level. It's not on the level because of the growth decree, okay? And the fact that it's something you need for the midfield. It's something you need for the midfield, right? Chiesa right now, they want to renew him. It's not that he's necessarily indispensable, but the salary doesn't work there and he doesn't get the rewards of like a growth decree. That helps put more money in Rabiot's pocket. The fact that there's no selling fee helps put that money in Rabiot's pocket. Chiesa doesn't get those benefits. So it's not just this face-for-face thing where yes to Rabiot, no to, it's not level there. And if you look at it that, I do agree with you. On the face, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But when you break it down, it's completely different. It's completely different. And Rabiot could be that piece, like we just highlighted, that goes down the line to landing the other guys we want to see join our midfield. Chiesa right now is a standalone situation that can't be looked at with these other moves. It just can't. He needs to renew. We've been over this. He needs to renew, but you can't keep them locked in. Do you guys agree with that? Like, it's separate. There's separate maneuvers right now. And they're completely different situations with those players.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, like let's say like none of that works out and both of them were on the market. Who do you think is going to have more of a market at the end of the day? Chiesa would, not Rabiot. So it's like he's going to be the guy to go anywhere if anything happens.
And this is something that the captaincy.
Oh, it's too much. It's too much.
Let the players decide. Let them vote on it. Whatever. Okay. Let them vote on it. If he gets it through a vote, whatever, then I'm fine with it. But I think right now, going in next season, you open up to vote. But Danilo's still going to be around. But will he or will he not still be in a starting role if we shift to this 4-2-3-1 or revolutionary 2-7-2, as everybody wants to turn the field around to make it a 2-7-2, but we will see. But the Rabiot and Chiesa things are very, very different. Very, very different situations. Now, the question going around right now, everybody, is Di Gregorio, Calafiori, Koopmeiners. Let's say we get those, because right now, we've seen some of the accounts out there. We know who they are. They believe that these three push us to the Scudetto, okay? So, is that enough for Juventus to challenge for the Scudetto? Coop, Calafiori, Di Gregorio. Is that enough, Trim?
Well, I mean, in simple terms, without getting too far off the beaten path with who else comes in, I think it is based on this year alone. I mean, we were right there right up until January, and then all that crap happened with Max, right? So to me, it's a simple yes to compete, because we're not saying they're going to win, but they can definitely, it should be enough to compete, especially if we're not looking at any other external players coming in, if we're just looking at the roster we currently have and bringing in those three guys, I say yes.
All right. All right. Joe, is it enough?
I still feel like that there are too many holes that need filling. I still think that we need fullbacks, um, and I mean we kind of talked about it at the top of the show. I feel like, I mean, regardless of whether Milik stays or whatever, and we offload Keane, I feel like we'd still need a backup striker, another one. Um, so I'm gonna say no, but it would be a significant step forward. Like, those are all very talented players, and I think that they would make a significant impact towards that goal.
I think it very well could be. It very well could be enough based on what else happens. I've told you guys, Fagioli, breakout season coming up. Okay? Breakout season coming out for Fagioli. Koopmeiners added to the midfield. Yes. A guy like Rabiot has his place in the midfield, even though, I'm ultimately of the decision to go a different route. I can understand it if we land these other guys. So if we add Luis, if Luis is one of those guys, sure. But even just these guys, Di Gregorio, not a problem. Goalkeeping hasn't really been a problem, so I'm okay there. Calafiori, and with the latest news of keeping Bremer to any offers, okay, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Still have Cambiaso back there, okay? You still have Danilo, which for me, I'm fine with if he wants to play on the right, okay? I'm okay with that. In the middle of the park, adding Coop would be big, big. And let's say you keep the top as is, Yildiz, Vlahovic, Chiesa, that's enough to do damage in Serie A, okay? Yeah. That's enough to do damage in Serie A. Factoring in, if you want to talk other competitions, you want to be talking about spread out, etc., then you start getting into more players. But as far as competing for the Scudetto, we did it this season, and for me, we would be getting better with those three guys, even just Calafiori and Koopmeiners added to the mix, and Fagioli returning makes a big, big difference too. So, yeah, it very well could be, but it does matter what happens up top. But it's interesting that everybody's trying to look at it this way because it's still going to come down to, obviously the rest of the mercato, but also coaching and Motta. Will he be able to cook with these guys? Is there going to be a little bit of a waiting period? I think there is. I think it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock, but I do like what I hear about what he's going to try to do, definitely in training, which I think could help us, hopefully help us with injuries, okay, and reducing those as well with his whole method behind his training sessions. But I actually do feel that this season, because I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of changes, okay? I don't think we're going to see a drastic change through the mercato, but we'll see some changes. This season could show us a lot about coaching influence on a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think, this whole belief, this whole thing, I think we're going to see something very interesting because a lot of the same guys will still be around. It's not going to be drastically different. It'll be a little bit different, but I think we're really going to see, coaching influence, how much it affects. And now, again, we're hoping for the good, for the better, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, hey? And these guys are going to take some time.
Absolutely.
It's going to be completely different.
The one thing that I've been studying. I've been trying to study motta ball. The one thing that I've witnessed and seen in a lot of the replays is that the team that he constructs always seems to hold on to the ball. So we're going to be playing a far more possession-heavy game going into next season, I feel like. So I think that that's going to be probably the biggest culture shock for a lot of the guys in this team, going to a more possession-based game. And just judging by some of the interviews that Motta has had, apparently during training sessions, there's no like, I don't want to say there's none, but there's very little exercise that doesn't involve the ball. So I feel like that's going to be another thing that's going to be a big culture shock going from Allegri to Motta. Because I feel like, and this is all hearsay. I haven't watched, Juventus training because we're not there. But I feel like Allegri probably did a lot of off the ball work and a lot of off the ball movement. That's at least what I can see. So I think that's probably going to be another really big piece that a lot of these guys are going to need to adjust to. A lot of on the ball work and heavy possession, holding on to it. So we'll see how it works with the players.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I agree with Matteo Camisa. There's going to be a transition period. And Animesh brings up, that little bit, that little seed of doubt that will be there. The added games of Champions League. Not having the experience of having a game every 3 days. This makes Animesh doubtful that we challenge for the Scudetto this upcoming season. Honestly, I feel 100% there is going to be a transition period. I believe, depending on how much we can shorten that transition period, how our players adapt and react, which is anybody's guess, because it's not just like the midfield that's going to be affected, but the guys at the back are going to be doing stuff that they have not done under Allegri these past 3 years.
Yep.
Like, it's going to be completely different based on what he does, involvement and pushing up the pitch. If you watch Calafiori play this season, that's a prime example of the shit he's doing for Bologna that is massive to Motta. It's going to be very interesting to see. But if we can shorten that up, we'll be okay. Ultimately, in Serie A, I think we'll be okay. I think the focus is going to be there. We're going to put our best foot forward in all competitions, of course. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. A little bit better starting 11 gives you a little bit more depth, too. And guys could still be used. I like the rumors about Barnechea sticking around. But we'll see what happens. Motta, Barnechea, this is what I love about this time of year. We're finding out what Motta likes before he's even been inside the goddamn building outside of the visitors' locker room. So let's pump the brakes. Let's wait and see. And for Chiesa, I think he's going to sign everybody, okay? You guys know me. I like to get everybody fired up. I like to get going. So earlier on, we're talking about all this. His agent probably just wants to get a few numbers. I don't think there's any intention to go to Roma, Napoli. Just probably wants some numbers to be like, hey, this is what they'll give us, but we want to stay here. Maybe he can get a little bit more. But ultimately, Fede, I know you want to stay. I know you want to stay, man. So do the right thing. Let's move on. Why leave now? Why leave now? You just been through all this hell in 3 years, and now we're starting to get on the up. What the fuck are you thinking, bro? Okay, let's go. Your agent, Ramadamanami, or whatever the hell his fucking name is, okay? Let's go. Pachanushkafu, and let's sign this goddamn thing, okay? Let's move on. Now, we got to get to Storm the Barn, okay? We're going to have a little bit of fun here. George, we got to his with the feelings around Samardzic and everyone. And we did, I think, tackle this one as well from him with 51 to 69 games played next year. I think we were short-handed in the wings. What should Juve do there? Honestly, things change. I always said, like, the money for Sule, is massive. And if we're talking about the latest, around 50 million euros, like if that is what Juve wants and that you get an offer in that range, 45 to 50 million, okay. But if the replacements are kind of weak, maybe you don't move. I think there's starting to become this case where maybe he stays. He wants to stay. He wants to prove himself. That's the part I've always struggled with Sule, because I appreciate that. You know what I mean? So What are your feelings on Sule straight up on the wings? What do you think we should do, Trim? I guess we have to start with one thing locked in. Let's say Chiesa remains. What do you want to see like outside of that? Sule remain as well, or does that give you the freedom to move him? Is there somebody else you have in mind?
Well, if Chiesa stays, like the easy answer is you sell Sule. But again, it depends on if there's actually a concrete offer presented, because a lot of it is right now just talk. Bayer Leverkusen, there's some other teams involved, but again, it's just talk right now. So until Juve actually gets an offer, then we wait and see. But that's if Chiesa stays. If Chiesa leaves, for me, I was looking at some players and wing options out there. I know there was a tweet I read about some Bayern Munich players that are potentially on the move, 5 in particular, and 2 of them are wingers, Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman, both coming off injury-riddled seasons. I mean, are you going to really look into exploring guys who are hurt or coming off injuries to replace a guy who has been injured, right? Like, I mean, there's one guy, and I just thought of him today. I know it's probably unrealistic, but Lookman from Atalanta would be a really solid option. But the thing is, you want to really deal with them again and try to, manage with the Coop deal. This is the whole thing, right? Like, so for me, I would keep Sule if Chiesa leaves, because I feel like he's the internal solution for at least this season to see what you got in the player and then go from there. Again, I don't think how he plays this season, if he stayed with Juve, will hurt his value that much, that if you really don't feel he's Juve material or Juve quality, as a lot of our fans go by, it will hurt a sale next summer. So for the wing position, for me, it's really dependent on Chiesa. Because if Chiesa stays, then you've got some options and alternatives out there, like Zhigrova at 15 million, potentially, like some cheaper alternatives. I always mention, and I know, Al, you always mention Orsolini, but again, dealing with Bologna, they're not going to lose all their players. They're going into Champions League next season. So if they're already giving us a hard time about Calafiore, like, is it realistic to get a guy like Orsolini? I mean, I would like him as a depth option, but so just really, for me, it just really, really depends on Chiesa, which is kind of scary at the same time, because, we just assume he's staying because he's got no leverage, but if they sell him, they got to have a backup plan.
And that's the thing. You're spot on in the sense that some of these guys we would want to bring in, it's going to be interesting, and you're already looking at players from that team, so it's going to be very, very difficult. You can't just pick apart these clubs unless we turn into what Bayern's been in Germany, and everybody just bends over for us and says, yeah, okay, let's go, and takes the money. It's going to be very difficult. Orsolini, I would really like to add on that side. If Sule remains, I'm fine with it, but the money could come in handy. But then you got to look at who's going to step up there. But if Chiesa remains, if Yildiz has to play on one side and Chiesa's on the, I am absolutely fine with that. And then you start looking at backups. One of the store in the barns is, who would you have as backups and whatnot in the wing and whatnot? Zhigrova, one of the names we're linked with, Zhigrova. If it's 15 million euros, that's actually could be a steal of a move. And that's the 100%. Kind of money you're looking for on guys that you want as backups. I'm down with that. If he ends up coming in as a backup, I'd take a shot there. And we've seen from Norby in the AJC members chat there all the graphs and charts on Zhigrova and who he compares to, and some good guys, some good players numerically and statistically there. But of course, everybody has their thoughts on that league, how it plays out. But that is one name I'd probably say stands out as a cheap player that I would have coming in. The other guy nobody's really talking about that I have said a couple times, Weah as a winger and not from the back there. Let's take a stab there. The guy was like dirt cheap for us and everything. Move him up the pitch. He's got chops when it comes to technical ability and dribbling and everything. I know he's got a shot. He just barely got into positions to unleash it. Fuck, he scored one of the goals of the year in that Coppa Italia.
Easy internal solution too.
Weah remaining is probably going to happen. That's an internal solution. So, yeah, okay. All of a sudden, Chiesa, Yildiz, way up, potentially Sule. That's not too bad, boys.
No, that's good.
That's not too bad, right? And you add a Zhigrova? Okay. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I feel like Weah seems like a Motta, like the style of play Motta plays and runs. I feel like Weah suits that. More possession. He's got speed.
Yeah.
His fitness seems like it's there, although at times Max just wouldn't play him for whatever reason. But again, it's like you said, Al, the way that Motta sees the game and where he sees these guys in what position, getting the best out of the players. So yeah, it would be a good internal solution for sure.
I think so. I'm not ready to write him off completely. It could take some time to adapt, and also, that wing back thing. Let's see. Let's just see. Let's see him up there. Yeah. It's not going to hurt us. It's going to save us money. He's already here. Let's go. Now, let's keep it rolling. And again, reminder, get the likes up, everybody. Let's go. Sorry, if we land both Coop and Luiz, oh, yes, please. Will we require Samardzic then? Is Locatelli on the market as well? Do you want both Locatelli and McKennie to be sold? Okay, so you're really taking advantage of Storm the Barn here, Sweaty, because you got like 3 questions in here, okay? But I'm going to let it slide. It's all good. Will we still require Samardzic then if we bring in Coop and Luiz? So, I always said, if Rabiot renews, we get 2 midfielders. Coop and Luiz, there's going to be, a swap there with Luiz. You would have money over, technically, depending how good you could make that swap. It sounds like it's going to be 30 million, so there's not going to be much left over. Will we require Samardzic then? I don't know so much about require. It would be amazing to do it, but I don't think we would require. Would we require him, fellas? Joe?
No, I don't know where, if that situation happens, I don't know where exactly he would fit in terms of the market and everything. I don't see it. And our midfield would be stacked anyway. So it would be like, where's the playing time for him?
And in terms of the offensive you gain from, Coop and Luiz would help. And you still got Fagioli kicking around. Don't forget about our boy Fagioli. You're covered for the Samardzic role, etc. And Coop can play multiple, so can Luiz. Trim, would he be required?
Yeah, for me, Samardzic in this case would not be required, but I also think for me it depends on what's happening with Hans, what's happening with Miretti. If both of those guys go, you could argue you can bring in another player like a Thuram or a Samardzic. But if it's just Coop, Luiz, Rabiot, Luca, Fagioli, there's really no space for him.
Yeah, one of those guys, if we did pull off Luiz as well, which can take money, one out of Barnechea, Caviglia, or Miretti is staying. One of those guys is staying. And I believe that it's not cut and dry. I think Motta is going to take a look at Miretti, and I think he's definitely going to take a look at Barnechea in preseason. Those are probably some guys he's going to take a look at. Miretti's got 4 teams hot for him, so let's see what happens. In terms of is Locatelli on the market as well, Locatelli is not on the market. He's not. We've known this for quite some time. I've told you guys everything that I've personally heard from Turin. Behind the scenes, they love Locatelli. Locatelli is held with high regard around Juventus. In terms of his own self, he is this could be a blessing in disguise for Juventus, him not getting called to the national side. Because nobody, from what I'm gathering, is harder on himself, out of the group, than Locatelli. He's just got to wake the fuck up and snap out of it. And I'm going to die on this hill, but I still have faith in him, okay? I'm still I could go up.
I'm right there with you, Al.
I could go up in flames on this one, but I'm going to stick with it with Locatelli. Do I want both Locatelli and McKennie to be sold? Trim, do you want both Luca and McKennie to be sold?
No, I want to keep Luca. I think the 3 of us across the board, we want to ride it out with Luca at least one more season. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
Joe agrees. I agree. Ride it out for one more year. All right. So there you go. And
I'll sell my fellow countryman McKennie and keep Luca. I'll do that.
there you go. There you go. What backup wingers? So we covered that one from Adam there. Justin B, is Joe Cap ticklish? Seems very serious.
And this is probably more than anybody wants to know, but yes, I am. I will punch you in the face if you try to tickle me.
There you go, Justin. Tickle Joey Cap next time you bump into him at tailgate party.
He's gonna get a off right across the face.
There you go.
If he tries that.
With the Euros starting in just a week, we need to have your top 3 rankings of different beers. Oh, yes, baby. Yes.
I was not prepared for this, but
yes.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Okay, Joey Cap, kick us off.
Okay. My go-to, always, if they have it, not every place in the States has it, but Peroni on tap, I got to have it. Okay.
Yeah. Solid.
Number two, probably Carlsberg if they got it, because you gotta lift the cup. And 3, it's reliable. Places will have it, and whatever. You can judge me all you want. The champagne of beers, Miller High Life. Why not?
Miller High Life. All right. True American coming out there. All right. I like it. Trim. Top 3. Let's go.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I'm gonna kind of deviate from we got, as you know, Berto, in Canada, we've got a lot of good craft beers, so I'll kind of leave those aside. So that's just strictly to Canada. So to make it more of international flavor, let's say.
Man, do we ever have deadly craft beers out here in BC, man? They're just incredible, man. Incredible.
Yeah, it's too good. So I would say my 3, Stiegl, I believe it's Austrian beer, if I'm not mistaken. Stiegl, I like that beer. It's really good. Easy choice, yeah, Stella. Stella's definitely on my list. And I'm trying to think of the third one. Oh, well, and then I obviously like Peroni or Moretti is good too. So either of those Italian beers, definitely on my list. So those are my 3 I'm going with go-tos.
Peroni's on there for me, for sure. I'm a toss-up between Heineken or Stella. I enjoy them both kind of very, very close to one another, but I'd probably give the edge to Stella. So Peroni, Stella. As a third, I kind of want to go. Sometimes you just need the power. Sometimes you just need that kick in the junk, right? When you need to get down to business and you want to party, whatever. I'm going to go with a Canadian classic through the high school days. Used to get a 6-pack for $10, 8% Wildcat, baby. Wildcat, right?
That is the most Canadian name, Wildcat.
Now, jokes aside, it's terrible tasting beer, but in high school, my God, those 6-packs went a long way for $10, okay? But no, it'd probably be Peroni, Stella, and Heineken, my actual top 3, okay? Top 3. Yeah. Great question. Love that. A lot of fun. Now, we get our guy here. And Red Stripe, by the way, coming from YFG saying he's Jamaican. The only right answer is Red Stripe. Oh, man, those little bottles are sweet, too, man. The Red Stripe bottles are awesome.
I love those. Yeah.
Love that. So, based on the new coach, players linked and exit, players linked to come in, what's the starting 11, 24-25? Okay, so you're going to challenge with the starting 11s. We're going to hear Joey's and Trim's starting 11, 24-25. What you would like to see, I guess.
Ooh.
Being realistic with targets and stuff.
If you want to go first, Joe, by all means. I'm just writing it out because I can't picture it in my head.
Yeah, this is by no means a comprehensive or final list, so go easy on me, guys.
No, fuck that. Go hard on everybody. Let's go.
So, okay, goal. Then I'm just gonna include the names of new players that we're gonna sign to. So, if he starts, whatever. Di Gregorio, goal. All right. Back four, we'll have Cambiaso, Calafiori, Bremer, and I'll throw Weah back there just because I don't know who we're gonna get at right back yet. Maybe Danilo, either one of those guys, whatever. Midfield, I'm thinking Luca, rabiot, and Koopmeiners, and then I'm just gonna do a 4-3-3 because that's the way my brain's working right now. Unless we sell Chiesa, which I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. He'll be on the left. It'll be Dusan, and then God, who will be on the right? God, that's the one position that I can't think of right now. But that's the bit. Like, if that's the only thing that I can't think of, like that's pretty much the lineup right now.
All right. Trim, you're up.
Okay, so sorry, I kind of put you out on an island there, Joe. I had time to write it down, so now it like all makes sense in my head because I had a hard time picturing it. But I think my lineup's pretty common to what like a lot of people have been putting out there. So again, depending on who comes in, the signings, and really it's going to depend on who's going out. That's the biggest thing. But starting in that, Di Gregorio on the left side, Cambiaso, Bremer, Calafiore, Cambiaso, Calafiore, Bremer, and then Danilo at right back, which kind of reluctant to say that, but that's right now based on who we bring in. Luiz and Locatelli double pivot, but again, that depends on if Rabiot is here. So I'm doing a 4-2-3-1. From left to right, Yildiz, Koopmeiners, Chiesa, and Vlahovic up top.
All right.
I think that's a Scudetto winning lineup, if I might say so myself.
We're winning 39. 39's coming home. I don't care what anybody says. It's coming home. Hey, prediction show will be coming up, obviously. But should I get my starting 11? You guys answer pretty good. It's very similar to that. But there's a video coming out tomorrow which will kind of answer that one for me. So I'm just going to let you guys wait for mine right there, okay? Predictions for the Euros. All right.
All right, here we go. This is what all eyes are on the Euros now anyway. So
who's winning the Euros? Who does everybody in the chat have winning the Euros? Reno's got Spain.
Everyone was calling England, but I'm still not totally convinced unless like UEFA bends that to their will and they end up in the final again somehow.
Guys, I think France wins it.
When I filled out my bracket, that's who I had winning it.
I think France will win it.
Germany's not what they used to be.
Yeah. Spain will be good, but I don't think it'll be enough. England, I don't have faith that England wins a major tourney. I just don't. But they will. They have a good roster. Like it's a strong roster. Some suspect areas, but up top, man, that's crazy. And even in the middle there, they'll be tough. But I just think France has so much, man, so much. We got some Portugal shouts in there. Italy, Barella down, but it's okay. We got Follow Run show. We got Follow Run. The Follow Run show, we're going to call it, okay? Yeah. The Follow Run show is set to hit towns.
I was going with Italy, but
I want to be really optimistic about the Azzurri, and I want to say that, you know, it's typical of a major tournament, us getting overlooked and all this, but it's just that roster to me, it lacks something. I really question not taking Orsolini. Very, very bizarre. Now you have the Barella injury. Yeah. It's weird to me. You still have this doubt as to how exactly he's going to shape up. I did share my 3-5-2 and my 4-3-3 of what I would do for the Azzurri, depending if I was a Spalletti and which route he wanted to go. I can maybe pull it up and we could probably take a look, but I don't know if Italy's going to make it out of the group, to be honest, you guys. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be tough to watch.
When you aren't really sure if you're going to get that first win against Albania, that's a big matzo ball out there, boys. It's a big matzo ball out there. Let's see what happens. But
I still think we get it done, though, man. We got to beat Albania. Come on, man. What are we even talking about here? It's Albania, for fuck's sakes. We're gonna.
Oh, I know. Do I have to remind you, folks, North Macedonia is who kept us out of a major tournament, okay? Hey. But I'm going to stick with you guys, okay? And Matteo, they are going to find a way. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
We're hopeful.
Now, with Barella injury, we got to wait and see what is actually said. Like, Buffon was trying to give us this hope that it was going to be like a Gattuso situation in 06 where he grinds it out and fucking, okay, man. Gigi, I love you. But, I do now know that you dabble in the Mary Jane. So we're going to get to some fun questions. Do we have some fun stuff that we wanted to bring up? And I think we did. And we're going to kick things off with Joey Cappuccino. Because Storm the Barn, we've caught up on everyone from the chat. Let's get yours. Got a little something for us?
All right. So I'm interested to see what the chat has to say. So we have been seeing a lot of blank Juve jerseys going around, and apparently they're having a difficult time finding sponsors, right? So who would you guys like to see as the sponsor on our kit if we were to have one? I feel like Elcon has the biggest opportunity in the world to do something amazing here and put Ferrari on the front of that. But that's just me. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Okay, is that your pick?
That is my pick. Like if we don't do Jeep, if we don't get like Emirates or like whatever, then that would just picture that Ferrari. That would be sick.
Well, Joe, it's funny you should say that. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a gander over here. Okay, let's take a little bit of a gander, and I kicked Joe out by accident here.
Yeah, we lost him.
No. Get him in here. Oh, we got double trim.
Double trim.
That's not a good sight to see. Two of me. God, there's already enough of
there
me
we
with
go.
one.
Let's take a look. Let's see if we can get the visual on Mr. Cappuccino. So this was drawn up here by an account. Let's take a look at this.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
That's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. I'd get rid of the horse. But
I was going to say the same thing. Get rid of the horse. Move that Ferrari up a bit. I love it with the lines broken up. So it's not a box and it feels like that 97, 98 kit, you know? Take a look at the black there. You see the zebra pattern like faintly in there? That's sick.
Yeah.
I hope that's how it is, but
that's pretty dope.
Dude, that's it. That actually looks pretty cool. If you take that horse out of it, that'd be deadly. Okay, that'd be deadly. Mm-hmm. Ferrari's up there for sure. I do want to tell everybody, I put this out on a post a while ago. The kits, the home kits, are actually out at retailers in North America, and they will be released with no sponsor. And we could have a situation very similar to one of Omer's favorite kits, that pink bastard with the big black star on it. If you guys remember, this is exactly what I think is going to happen. The day, like a day or two after the contract actually ends with Jeep, which I believe is either June 24th or June 30th. It's late June, late this month. When that ends, like a day after, 2 days later, you're going to get that thing released with no sponsor. Then I think when we do lock in on who the sponsor is going to be, you're going to see the release of the other kits later on with sponsor and a re-release of the home with a sponsor. It's going to be very similar to exactly what we did 2011-12 before Balocco jumped on there with that pink star kit, whatever. So I think that's what we're going to end up seeing happen this year. But retailers in North America have that kit, that home one, confirmed, okay, with no sponsor on it. Trim, who do you want to see as a sponsor? Is it Ferrari?
The heart wants Ferrari, but to be different for the sake of the segment, I'm actually with Reno, and he mentioned it earlier up in the chat. He said Amazon. But like even one of the two, either Amazon or Apple, strictly because I think would be a sick logo to have, and then also the opportunity to have one of the streaming services, potentially do some behind the scenes for us videos and access to the club. We all kind of like that stuff as fans. So I would say either Amazon or Apple. But that being said, about Amazon, not the check mark. I think it would look ridiculous. They got to somehow just put the name. Like the check mark would look really stupid, I think. So I don't know if they can come up with something.
Sorry, rabiot on our logo too. The crazy horse. Oh yeah. Let's get that horse out of there. Now, IKEA. Oh man, Adam's gonna like that. There he goes. There he goes. As Forza Juve brings up IKEA, Adam all over it. Oh, our Swedish friend there. Listen, I would love to see Ferrari on there, looks and everything. To be honest, I'd like to see Samsung on there. A top company. Yeah. Oh my God. Nice. Look at the timing here. Matty Cuddy there. Samsung, in terms of a brand and company, still massive. They're in the top 10 for sure. I think they're sitting around 5th to 7th. Obviously, you're going to have Apple, Google, Microsoft all way up there. Amazon's up there. Samsung's not too far behind. I'd like Samsung, to be honest. I think it'd look sick. I think it would look cool. Samsung, Ferrari are kind of my choices, personal choices, all right? But love talking about that. Love the anticipation for these kits. And you guys, I'm pumped to have a kit with no sponsor. I think kits without sponsors are sick. Sick. Fiat with the shout there from Yorio. Okay. Let's get to Trim's Storm the Barn. What do you got?
So we were trying to come up with something different, something kind of fun. I always like to bring up tech, and his. I didn't know this about him. The fact that he smokes, which I find just hilarious and hysterical.
Like a chimney.
For whatever reason, the thought of who would be on which player on the starting active roster, if you could pick one player to go out and have a time with, just go out one night wherever you live, or even in Torino, it doesn't matter. If there was one player you could pick from the active roster to go out and have a time with, who would it be?
Active roster, go out and party. Okay, is tech yours though, Trim?
So that being said, no. So the more I thought about it, he would be part of the entourage, I guess. It'd be him. For me, it's Vlahovic. I don't know. This guy, you see this guy in pictures rolling around, and he's got good style. I just feel like he would just be the king. You walk around with him, go to the clubs and go to the bars, and this guy would just draw a scene. He's got good clothes, good style, fashion sense. I just feel I don't know. I think it would be pretty cool to hang out with Dusan.
All right. Joey, who's your pick?
Fajoli and I are hitting the casino. Let's go, baby.
Oh, our new casino sponsor too. Look at that. Oh my God. Yeah, night out at the casino.
Honestly, that would probably be a lot of fun. My initial thought was Dusan would be really good. A lot of shouts for mckennie. mckennie would probably be a really fun time to go out, hit the town with.
I'm gonna probably hit everybody with someone you wouldn't expect, okay? And this is for a couple reasons. Number one, having seen him in Los Angeles, okay? And seeing how he was interacting with the fans and everything, and he's just a beauty. And seeing the videos, the training videos, and how funny he actually is. And I think he's a little bit of a prankster behind the scenes, I'm getting those vibes. But I'd probably hang out with Perin. And Perin would be the guy I'd want to actually hang out with, because I think
Yeah.
I don't know. He kind of seems like the same guy I kind of am around like teammates in my team that play as like a jokester and like pranking and doing all that, and just interaction with the fans at LA was like top notch, man. Cracking jokes, having fun, just being a good dude all around. Also gave a kid his gloves. It made the kid cry. The kid was losing it. Perin. I'm going Perin.
Yeah, that's a good
Nice.
pick. That's a really good pick.
Yeah.
Now, mine was kind of out there. As we were talking earlier about slap that Koopmeiners on the kit. Get me that name on the back of the kit, whatever. And I'm like, a little bit long. I'm telling you, these guys have all had badass names. So we're going to stick to just, what have you always thought was the coolest name for a Juventus player? Just like the best names from Juve players. And man, I've got a few. But I got a great story. And I've told this story like one other time, but like I used to rock a Del Piero kit in high school days. Obviously, I'd rock Juve kits, but like I specifically had the one from like 98, 99, where it was the red numbers on the back, or it could have been 99, 2000, one of those years. And it had Del Piero on there, and it caught these guys' attention behind me. And then they were like, Del Piero, what's that all about? And I told them, and they're like, what's the name? I was like, Alessandro Del Piero. And they're like, man, that name's sick. They wrote a metal song about Alessandro Del Piero not having any clue who the hell he is, just because the name was sick. And Del Piero's name is just awesome. But like Moreno Torricelli is badass. And Tacchinardi, I always love. Like those names are sick for me. I like those as top names, all right? But what's a cool name, players, or just badass names, in your opinion? Joe?
I always thought Nedved was a sick last name.
Pavel Nedved.
Pavel Nedved. I don't know, just the way that it sounds and stuff. That's probably my top pick. God, who was another guy?
Delivio.
Zambrotta. That's
nice, yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a pretty badass name.
Yeah, Zlatan's sick. Yeah,
Zlatan's a pretty sick name. Trim, what do you got?
So, full name, but also the nickname, it's gotta be Super Mario Mandzukic. I don't know, it's just a straight. When I just hear that name, I just think of a killer, man. This guy just will not die. Take him down at the knees, and this guy will still keep fighting to get that ball in the net. He's just, what a beast. Love that guy.
Olaf Melberg. Dino Zoff. That actually just
Dino Zoff.
Dino Zoff is a badass name.
Yeah.
That's a badass name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of some not so good ones. Justin B brought up Michel Platini. Is that a bad name? Michel, I mean, okay. Doesn't really sound like a, but Platini's saves it. Platini's cool. Michel. Hell of a player, though.
Yeah,
Arturo Vidal.
No,
Vlahovic
that's
is
a
a
good
good
one.
name, too. Vlahovic is
a good name.
Paul Pogba. Tony Trim's not going to go against Pogba.
No.
Adam says he has one. A good one or a bad one? I had a tough time finding names I didn't really like. All right.
I've got one. I've got one for the bad one. And it's only because the name reminds me of a childhood show, which was Arthur. Like, just, I don't know. Just doesn't do it for me. It's just like, what?
Yeah, no, it's not great. It's not great.
I don't know if it's Jonathan Zabine. Jonathan Zabine is a pretty bad name, and it matches that player for me perfectly because, God, that guy gave me fits. Grigera is a bad name. Oh.
Yeah.
Blaise Matuidi is a badass name, I think, personally.
Yeah, that was
Blaise Matuidi. That's badass.
Christian
But it's always
Pulisic.
fun reminiscing about these olden days and everything, and these players and names. Sometimes it's funny as I grew older what I thought some of the names were, and then found out what they actually were, because you're just listening to it on this Italian commentary, and I was young and everything, and I'm like, what the hell is he even saying? Is that a guy's name? I was like, what the hell? It was funny. Juan Cuadrado. Oh my God. Not a good. Who? Who?
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Who? Like,
Yeah, who? Nah. Gigi Buffon, badass name. Gianluigi Buffon? Oh, yeah. These guys have sick names. Roberto Baggio.
Yep. Yep. That's a great one.
That's about as pretty fucking gangster as you get.
As you can get, yeah.
You know? El Shaarawy. Brutal name. Never played for Juventus, but he's representing Italy in 2024. It feels like this guy has been around for 36 years.
Yeah, seriously.
Like it's Zidane. How could I forget? Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah,
Zizou, yeah.
That's a sick name. Zinedine Zidane. Oh yeah. Top notch. You guys, leave it open for any last minute storm the barns out there. I'm going to do one quick scan on any news, but you guys had a lot of fun today. As always, you guys are absolute beauties in the live chat. Drop a like as you say your farewells and everything as we look to wrap up. There is nothing new that we haven't covered today, okay? So we continue on. We might have a couple sagas. They could get a little ugly. They might not. Szczesny, Chiesa, we got to watch out there. Koopmeiners, we're starting to hear rumors. I saw somebody put it up there that English clubs are ramping up their approach. 60 million pounds, which is even more than 70 million euros, could be in play. But I'm going to stick with the top guns. And again, reminder, even though I cover the daily news updates, I try to remind everybody, take everything with a grain of salt, but we do tend to stick with the top guns. Skira, when he said Koopmeiners has no intention of breaking his word of wanting to join Juventus, I don't care about these other offers, whatever, anything. It's going to be all right. Calafiori, get it done. Okay? So Gregorio done. Calafiori, get it done. That's a must. That should have been done yesterday. Okay? Koopmeiners, find a way. Find a way, baby. Illing Jr., Hoysen, okay, I'm okay. Even 10 million cash on top of that, okay? It's not out of my pocket anyways, but just get the fucking job done, Juve, okay? Let's go. Trim, Joe, absolute pleasure, okay? Everybody in the live, you guys are fantastic as always. Had a lot of fun today. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, okay? Got myself another game tomorrow. Hell of a start to the season, fellas. 7 games played, 6 goals, 3 assists for your boy. Not bad for an old man. All right?
Not bad.
The only midfielder in that top scoring list, though, in the league there, okay? Midfielder. Old as hell. Old balls midfielder. Great start to the season. I got a game tomorrow. I'm jacked up for it, all right? I think we got the Azzurri in that final dress rehearsal tomorrow as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. I believe so.
Let's see what happens, everybody. Absolute pleasure. As always, I'll keep you in the loop with an update. Next one is tomorrow, and then another live show. Unless there's big news, you'll get one midweek. Otherwise, the following weekend. Take care, and no matter what, it's fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. And to the Chihuahuas out there, all right? Fuck them. Can't take this. Fuck that. Let's rock.
Yeah.